Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Hot Drop, the Battlegrounds podcast. I'm Dano, your host, and let's get into it. This week we have a special guest on the show. His name is John, aka Lemonjon, and we've been playing Counter-Strike together for about 2 years now. But once Battlegrounds was released, we started playing Battlegrounds almost every night. So I want to welcome John to the show. How's it going, man?
Hey, pretty good. Glad to be here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into PC gaming?
Originally I was a console gamer, like full time, and then a buddy of mine came over and showed me TF2, and like I had so much fun playing with that. It made me want to get a computer, and then I saw Steam and like all the game potential that it had, and that really like kicked off my PC gaming love. So it was like, I guess like 8 years ago now, something like that, when I bought my first PC and like started getting into it.
Nice. Did you build your own computer, or was this like a pre-built? I was wondering if you ever
Um,
went down the road of building your own PC, because that's how I got started, actually.
so that's not how I got started, but as soon as I bought my computer, so it was a friend's like hand-me-down computer. So he upgraded his and I bought his old one for like a reasonable price.
Nice. Those are the best
Um,
friends.
right? But the thing is, it was, it's not a very good quality PC, so almost immediately wanted to start upgrading components and stuff like that. So yeah, it was the same kind of, uh, you know, progress. Like, oh, I want to have better games. I want to put new stuff in this computer. So that's, yeah, I
Awesome.
definitely eventually built my own.
Cool. So from TF2, you started playing other shooters, or what were some other games that you liked to play at the time?
So I was just I was exploring the landscape. So I was getting like anything that was cheap, I would buy and try out, that kind of thing. All the winter sales and the summer sales were really big for me. I love following those because I just wanted to try new things on PC. And then I had a buddy who played some Counter-Strike for fun, and he got me into it. We were playing a little bit of 1.6, and I was really bad at it, but it was very like intriguing. So we kind of like kept going with it, and then CS:GO was on sale one time, and I bought it, and my older brother bought it too, and we started playing.
Yeah, CS:GO was one of the first games that I actually started playing a little more seriously than other games. And we talk about this a lot, but one of the things that I found interesting was that a lot of my skills from Counter-Strike translate pretty well to Battlegrounds, and I was wondering if you felt the same.
Yeah, totally. Well, the tacticality, I don't know if that's a word, but the
Sounds good to me.
tacticality of the game, like really like taking the kind of things that you think about in CS, and bringing them over to this game, I think helps a lot. Like when to peek, when to sit, how to peek, how your opponent is going to think and how you can outthink them, I think really helps. And then of course, just the baseline shooter instinct, like, aiming for the head, getting those headshots, and like when you want to shoot and when you want to wait to see if their whole team is right behind them, that kind of thing.
Exactly, exactly. It just made me think of the differences between solo and duo and squads. I think this
Hmm.
is something we want to get into maybe later, but just thinking about
Okay.
like what you said, if is his whole squad behind you, or behind him, and if you shoot this guy, how are the rest of them going to react?
Yeah.
Versus a solo game where it seems like everyone is just at anywhere at any time. So I almost prefer playing solo versus duos or solo versus squads for that reason because it's a little more predictable. But I think
Yeah.
that's a story for another day, maybe. So today we're going to do a gameplay analysis from a match that we played recently. And I want to talk about some of the decisions that we made along the way, and we can see how those things turned out. So when you're sitting in the plane about to jump, whether or not you're playing a solo or a squad game, the first thing you should think about is your mindset going into the match. In this match, we had just played a couple games and performed really poorly. So we were thinking that we really want to just jump into the action and get some quick kills to get our confidence back. We decided to go for the hottest drop of them all, the school. So here we're jumping in and parachuting down, and we go right for the roof of the school. So typically we either go for the roof or the pool hall. But John, which do you prefer?
It's such a gamble. Like I usually don't go for school unless I'm with a group or something like that, and we just want to get into some action right away. I think roof is probably better most of the time, but it's such a gamble.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it totally depends on if you're the first guy getting a gun. Like that's such the case with almost every drop that you do that's really hot like this. We can
Yeah.
see that a couple guys are coming down with us. This one guy on my right hits the roof. I see him. What I usually do is not punch a guy at the beginning because of the desync and it's the fact that it's so hard to hit a guy when you're punching. So I try to go for the gun as soon as possible. And I got lucky this time. You can see I grabbed a pistol and
How did he not shoot you?
I don't know how this guy missed me, but I took him out, and then because I'm a mean person, I wanted to ruin his game right away, so I killed him right away. But in normal situations, I might wait and see like what his teammate does, and like leave the guy downed alive. This guy runs at me with a sickle. Yeah, he didn't really stand a chance, so I got him too.
He had
Um,
those cool glasses though.
he did have some awesome glasses, I have to say. He looked very stylish as he ate my shotgun bullets.
Yeah, so we just kind of got lucky here that, you grabbed the guns. I wasn't doing anything. I was just kind of running around with empty hands.
So now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. We do what you usually do, which is loot up at the school. We didn't really see a whole lot of other people around. We just saw those two or three guys that fell on the roof with us. So now we didn't hear anything, so now we're just doing our usual thing. And then we spot a guy up top in the basketball court area. So I got super lucky with that headshot right there. I had a nice flick, and then I think you were hitting him at the same time, and you saw him about the same time I did. Is that right?
Yeah, I hit him. I don't know if I got him. I saw blood spray as soon as I shot, but it could have been your shot. He was wearing a helmet, so I think we basically two tapped him
Right. At this
like
point,
together.
you did say that there was another guy that you heard. So I think what we did was rush up the stairs to see where he was, and we got lucky that he was out of position,
Mm.
and we took him down right away.
Yeah, I mean it's duos, right? So he didn't go down right away, and we could assume he was up there.
Right. And here's what I was explaining before: a situation where you want to keep that the downed guy alive before finishing him off, because you know he has a teammate, and you know the teammate's going to probably do whatever he can to help his downed teammate. So if you keep him alive long enough, there's a good chance that he's going to do something stupid that puts him in a bad position that allows you to take him out.
Right. There's like an exchange. You can keep him alive and let his teammate get like a free set of eyes on your position and what you're doing, or you can kill him right away and just have the advantage over the team. But it's a tough call.
Absolutely. So I was able to run into the next room over and find his teammate and put a couple rounds into him and take him down as well. At this point, we're pretty certain that the school is clear, so we're just taking our time looting these bodies, just making sure that we're still in the safe zone as well. And then we just see that the safe zone moves in the next 30 seconds, so now we're going to plan our next move. So here I'm spotting a drop. I think it was an older drop. It wasn't smoking at the time, so we're thinking it's early in the game. People probably don't have cars right away. Maybe there's something in there. It's worth checking. It's close enough to check. So I think at this point, Lemonjon runs over to it by himself to grab
Mhm.
it. Is that right?
Yeah. Plus, at this point, like we're still we're still living on the high of the four early kills that you got our team, and I'm just like, I kind of want to see it.
You got to go for it. When it's that close, you just have to.
I know.
So we end up running at it. You end up running at it, and if I remember correctly, you checked it and it was empty. I
Yeah, it
think I
was
cover you
totally
from the
empty.
windows here. Slash, I'm just being really greedy and looting as much as I can.
Yeah, well, I was also being greedy and running away from my team, so I think we were both doing the right thing.
So now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to some more action. So there was a whole lot of downtime where we just made our way into Roz Hawk. Not a lot of people around, so we were looting up and feeling pretty good. Here I'm grabbing an SKS because I feel that I have a long range rifle, but the SKS is really nice for those headshots and just the fact that it's much more powerful than an M16. So I switch over from the UMP to the SKS. I'm doing some looting, and then I turn around and I spot these guys in the hill behind us. Had no idea they were there. And so I call them out to Lemon John. I get a good look at them, open fire, got some decent shots, but you can see this SKS is bucking like crazy. Like it's super hard to control. But I do take out the first guy, and he starts to crawl back behind the hill to safety. And here's
Yeah, and
where
this
I
is where you're telling me like where they are, and
exactly like I shouted him out to you, and then I think, okay, he's knocked down. although I'm only at half health, I probably should rush them, and it actually works out pretty well in our favor here.
Yeah, so you take out the guy, they're reviving at that time, right? Because we were talking about how, you want to do whatever you can for your team. It's definitely a gamble for that guy to revive his teammate, but he picks him up, and then you come up the hill and can take him right down right away, and then you deal some damage to the second guy and let me come in for the clean headshot on the last guy.
So that whole exchange happened really fast, so I want to show it again. But basically, what we were thinking when this all went down was that we had the advantage. I was lucky enough to get the first kill on the first guy, and at that point, we knew that we had two members to their one squad member. So even though I had only half health, going aggressive I think was the right choice because we knew that even if he picked up his teammate, which he did, I could easily take him down again because when you're revived, you only have a very small amount of health, and that again puts us in a two versus one situation. Any thoughts to add?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest part of that gamble is like who do you actually hit when you first see them because you can't hit everybody at once. Um, and we got really lucky with you hitting the guy who was downed. I think if you might have been able to take out the full health guy and we still would have been in a good spot, but that would have been a much harder fight.
So during this whole exchange, we weren't paying attention to our map, and the gas closed in around us. So we got stuck and had to run out on foot because we had no car.
Yeah, I think we actually spotted it as we were looting, but we didn't. We still wanted to check the bodies, and it's early enough in the game. And man, we were praying for a car.
The car gods did not answer us. It was rough.
When do they really?
So we run for a very long time, and now I'm going to skip ahead because Running Simulator
hmm
2017 is not that interesting until we actually find a car. And this was when we were heading towards the end of the game at this point, and we didn't have too much further to go. But the fact that we found a car was necessary because the gas was starting to hurt us just a little bit more at that point. So we grab the car and head towards the next safe zone. It looks like it's closing in on Georgia Pole at these apartment buildings. So our thought right now is because there's 23 alive and the circle is getting ever closer, we want to just grab a house and wait it out and see what happens. We didn't want to go too aggressive here because we heard shots from all around us. We see cars that are overturned near other buildings. We know that there's people here, and we just wanted to make sure that we could get into a building and get safe, heal up if necessary, and then see what the circle did before we made our next move.
Yeah, I think personally I was kind of hoping for that farmland safe zone, just north of this area, to give us a little bit more leeway because I really don't want to engage campers. You have such an advantage when you're holding down a house, with like a shotgun or something, and somebody has to run in and just like circle random safe zone luck is really hard to deal with in a city, area like this.
A few minutes go by without much action. We hear some people all around us, but we don't really know where they are. And then the circle moves again, and we need to make a play. We step out of the apartment building that we're in, and we see two guys running into the building ahead of us. And at this point, we think, okay, we could go after them, but they totally have the advantage on us right now. Uh,
One thing that is, I did hit both people twice, but there was more than them in the building, which was one of the reasons why we ended up not eventually.
Yeah, I think at one point you ask, should we go in after them? And we both considered it, but then I decided I don't really want to die that way because it would just be walking into suicide. So we take the next building and got very lucky that no one was inside. So we clear it first, check all the corners, and then we just shut the door behind us and sit down and wait because we are right in dead center in the circle at this point.
Right, and we didn't want to take time clearing the entire house because it's so big and like people could run in behind us. It just takes too long. So we actually just section out this bottom floor, which gives us easy access to the outside if the safe zone doesn't agree with us. And it also lets us have our safe little area and keep an eye on the people next door that we just saw run into that apartment.
Definitely. And we didn't hear anyone above us. It's usually pretty easy to hear when there's someone scuttling along the floor above you. But here we didn't hear anyone, so I think we got pretty lucky in that fact. But we knew we had a very close quarters battle about to happen. So you can see what I did there was switch out my SKS for an auto shotty. which I think actually was a pretty lucky break for me because an auto shotty is going to be a potential to be a one-hit kill at this range, and we knew that they had to either enter in this door that I'm looking at now or this door behind us. So the fact that I had a shotgun, which could have been a one-hit kill on anyone running through that door, was a huge advantage.
Right. As soon as the safe zone, like as soon as we got deeper and deeper into Georgia Pole and saw the safe zone closing in more and more in the city, we started immediately looking for close range weapons because you had an SKS and an M4, and I had an M4, and I think another rifle, an AK. So it was just like we really needed that close range power to be at a better position towards the end game.
Definitely. And here we're watching these two doors. So we knew that there was guys behind us in the apartment building, so they could have entered through the door that's to my right. I think we should have done a little bit better in communicating which door to look at. But luckily, you'll see in a little bit that we made the right call. We heard people right outside of the front door that we ran into, and we knew that they were going to be probably rushing in at us. So we just took our time. We stayed silent. We didn't really move around too much, and then we just waited to see what would happen.
Yeah, you can kind of see us like twitching around. That's because we actually hear them moving around outside. Um, and boom.
So we take out the first guy, and then he downs me, and you can see he's shooting me on the ground here, but it doesn't really look like his shots are registering. But luckily, Lemonjon with his ump skills goes and takes out that second guy, and he's able to pick me
Yeah,
up.
because of my position, I didn't know which side he had gone on. So right as you went down, you called that he was on the right hand side, so I could easily spot him and then get the kill on him. I also stole your kill as soon as you downed that other guy.
Quite all right. I don't mind at all. But I want to point out like communication, like how key it is to really like make good call outs in this game. And this is something we learned through playing Counter-Strike together. Just knowing to keep a cool head and say, okay, I saw him, he killed me, and I'm not going to panic about that. I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to get upset that I'm dead. I'm going to do whatever I can now to make sure my teammate knows where to look to trade the kill because I'm not completely out yet. It sucks that I missed my shot, yes, but at the same time, I still have a voice and eyes to help my teammate out to make sure that they can effectively trade the kill and put us back into a good situation.
Yeah, and the one of the other things is like a shorthand. After you play enough with somebody, you kind of learn how they talk and like that kind of thing. And it doesn't sound that complicated. Like you literally said he's on the right, but that was enough information for me to know that he was outside still on the right hand side, like underneath that staircase. So I knew exactly where to look just from you saying that.
Exactly. So at this point, we've got four alive. It's two of us versus two other guys. We don't know if they're a team or if they're just solo players, but one guy just went down, so that tells us okay, it's 2-on-1. We heard that the shot was outside, and we see the door open, and we see the gas. It's creeping in, but we don't know where he is. We heard his footsteps on the grass. I think you heard him, Lemon John. Is that right?
Yeah, I heard where the shots came from, and then I heard him moving around a little bit outside.
Right. And here's where things get interesting. Let's tune into the gameplay audio and see how it plays out.
I can flash out there if you want me to.
Uh, sure.
Okay.
Cook it a little bit.
Yep. He went around the other side to the right, I think.
Is he out here?
Yeah, I thought I heard him.
Oh, he downed me. Shit. Yes! Hell yeah. Good job. And we got the win. Sorry about my colorful language there, but we pulled it off nonetheless. John, what were you thinking before you threw that flashbang? Let's slow it down and analyze that.
What I'm thinking here is like we know the guy is outside, we don't know exactly where, and we don't want to peek on our own because he could easily be camping right outside with a shotgun and just down one of us immediately and have the advantage over the other. I'm actually going to pull out a flashbang and try and at least give us an advantage when we go out, or remove the disadvantage that we have when we're dry peeking this exit right here. As soon as I let go of the nade, I hear the guy moving. I know he's on the right-hand side. So I'm about to call it, and we're about to exit together. Dano checks the left-hand side because of instincts, and as soon as I call it, he starts moving to the right-hand side. So we know exactly where he is.
But this guy got the drop on me immediately. I think he just had a better angle in this case, and I wasn't expecting him to be there. So he took me down, but then we got very lucky when he missed his shots on Lemonjon, and obviously Lemonjon was pretty accurate with his ump, and we were able to take him out for the win.
Actually, if you watch my perspective, it's not super accurate. I got lucky with some spray. It also looked like a bunch didn't register like through desync or other reasons. But I definitely started hitting him in the leg as I bring my gun up and finish him off with a ump to the chest.
Awesome. Chalk up another win for the good guys. Cool. So that is about it for today's show, I think. Thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate having you here.
Yeah, for sure. It was a lot of fun. I love going over like our old games and talking about how what we're doing and like why it's smart, why it's dumb, anything like that.
Absolutely. And I feel like playing right now, so let's go play. Uh, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you in game.